question. Once you've won a good contract, how do you ensure the contract is enforced? I can talk a little bit about some of the how I see it functionally playing out on my work at where my work site is. What's key is to just have a person that everybody knows they can complain to, which really goes to what Jackie was saying about just visibility, being the person. Because if you don't know that something is going sideways, you can't fix it. So just having that person available, visible, and receptive, I think, is so important.
I just want to just repeat what you said, Amy, and that recently we discovered that there was one group of adjuncts that I believe that the way that they were being handled in that department was a violation of the contract, and it had been going on for years. But because nobody in that particular department was actually a member of the union, meaning they'd signed the card, we were actually unaware of it. And so I organized them and we became aware of it, but it really just goes to point, like, if they don't know about the contract and they don't have that ability to network out, that is an opportunity for the management to abuse adjuncts, because the management can get away with violating the contract with impunity because no one's going to grieve it because nobody knows. That's all I want to say about that. So
Kate, you had mentioned that there is a working group of adjuncts where you're at. Can you talk a little about
well,
that?
before I talk about that, it looks like Analea is ready to say something.
Oh, great. Sorry.
Thank you, Kate. I wanted to say that along the same lines, one of the things that I do at TCC is anticipate where things will be violated. So, for example, we have new language in our contract that doesn't allow administration to ghost part-time faculty. So I share that language with the part-time faculty and let them know, if you don't have classes for winter, have you been told why? Here's the section of the contract where you can request professional development feedback, and you can request the transparency in how classes in your area were assigned. So I get adjuncts writing to me and sharing some really messed up stories about things that have happened in the past. And if it's happening currently, we actively pursue asking the questions of where the equity and transparency are for the class assignments. Additionally, many part-timers don't know that it's in our contract to get 35 hours of stipend every year for professional development. So anytime we have a professional development that I think a lot of folks might go to, just like this, I will send out an email and say, hey, here's a thing going on, or I'll just forward the thing that went out and say, hey, everyone, this is eligible. Don't forget, here's the form. Because something I've noticed at TCC is that no admin ever sends out the form. So I'm an adjunct. I'm not paid to be working for the union. It is not my job responsibility to oversee the form, but I'm the only person sending it out. So if I wasn't, how many adjuncts would even know that they can earn, over $1,000 in professional development stipend every year? I just think that's how we enforce it, is we say, here's the contract, here's how you take advantage of it, go.
And what I love about that example is that it is something that impacts all of the adjuncts, right? When it comes to that money sitting on the table, they can all touch it. So that is a really easy way to do, like, just one educational moment to positively impact a whole bunch of your bargaining unit, and to also sort of get them used to the idea of when they get an email like, hey, like, there might be money in there for me. There might be something really good in there for me. So I think that's such a good example. Thank you. I did want to touch a little bit on solidarity groups as a way to make sure that the contract is being enforced. And I think, Kate, your solidarity group is probably pretty active.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, I don't know. We just, first of all, unlike Jackie, I have just started being an adjunct rep in the past, I guess it's been almost a year now. So I don't have as much experience, but we do have a group, and Kristen Joy is here, and she kind of organized this group. We didn't call it a solidarity group, we called it Adjunct Organizing Committee, I think, and it really came from Kristen's vision. So I would like Kristen to talk about that.
Oh, great. That would be lovely.
If you're okay with that, Kristen.
Surprise. Kenna has to help. We called ourselves an adjunct organizing team, and we formed specifically to be able to apply outside pressure during bargaining, because at Highline, our whole union leadership, I think with the exception of our union president, was also the bargaining team. And so there was no one at that time doing outside organizing. There was a lot of communication about what was happening, but there was no outside organizing to look for the pressure points and to do things like we wrote and circulated a letter about our 80% demand, and we circulated it to all faculty, adjunct and full-time. And how many did we end up getting, guys? Was it like, we had a goal of 100. I think we had over 200 and maybe 250 at the end, which was, and we were tracking and tracking all the numbers of who had signed. I'm not sounding very glamorous. It's the end of a Friday. Anyway, we did lots of hard work. We did grassroots organizing. That's what we did. And we did it to have an outside voice in negotiations. But Kate was on the bargaining team, so we were in constant contact and strategizing together. Frankly, we also did it initially to have a voice in our union. And I'd say the union leadership embraced us and then brought us in as partners in the bargaining and the kind of strategizing process. But when we began, we didn't have evidence that would be the case. And we knew that the way that we would get our demands heard was if we built power in the union by getting more adjuncts to sign on. So we did a letter first that people could sign on to as a first step. And then we did one-on-one follow-up to get folks to join the union. Now that we have this contract, which had some significant wins, but there's a long way to go, we haven't really organized ourselves this year to decide how we'll continue that work. Hannah, do you have things to add? Because that was not very eloquent or well thought through.
No, it was great. And you were a wonderful supervisor for us, making sure that we each had a list of people that we could contact, and the encouraging others to join the union, because I think as long as people are not members but still are affected by the outcomes and the decisions, they where is their investment in the union? I don't think it's a lot of money to pay each quarter in order to show solidarity and to show that you care about your work, other people's work, and how it should be compensated fairly.
That's awesome. Thank you both for your, especially being sort of surprised by asking to speak. So I really appreciate your
and
willingness.
I just want to say this is kind of how it works. And I feel like in our union, we've got me as a rep, and we've got like Kenna and Kristen doing so much, and other people too. It's just so helpful for me to have that support and for us to help each other.
I think that is also really key, especially if you are considering maybe introducing the idea of an adjunct rep, or considering being an adjunct rep. Like I think having a team to back you up like that and really spread out the work, that definitely makes it sound very palatable. So thank you very much for sharing that. That was inspirational.